Well, welcome. We have a wonderful session. I met Chad a while ago, and he's a true inspiration. He's really showed us how to really put plants into your life, and I love going shopping. I love going cooking. We did a cooking course together, and I'm really excited that Chad's going to show us how to eat better and healthier, a guide to plant-based eating. So thanks so much, Chad.
Perfect. So we're going to jump into Chad. I'll introduce him in just a moment. For everyone who's joining us on webinar, thank you. Just as a quick refresher, if you ever have the opportunity to unmute yourself and you want to ask any questions, all you have to do is press the little microphone indication at the bottom of your screen. Right now, when it's red, it indicates that you're muted. If you ever have a question, you can always unmute yourself and ask away. It's very informal, and we're happy to answer any questions you have. We also encourage you to turn on your video if that's something you're comfortable with. A lot of us, Dr. Kernu, as you can see, drinking coffee, eating food. We encourage you to join us whenever you're having your meals. Any time of the day is a good time of the day. We're happy to see you, and we're happy to chat with you. In terms of our YouTube channel, we can't see you, unfortunately, but you can always ask us questions. I'll be keeping an eye on the chat function so that we can address them throughout the presentation. So if you have any questions, Chad is an expert when it comes to plant-based dieting, and he's going to tell you a lot about this throughout the presentation. And Dr. Kernu will be happy to answer any questions that he can as well. So if you have questions, don't hesitate. Please ask them. If you take a look at the next slide here, this is our YouTube channel. It's very easy to navigate these days. A lot of the information is on the first screen you see. We're going to be making a YouTube video in the near future to show you how to navigate our YouTube channel. But in the meantime, all you have to do is type in Dr. Kernu into YouTube, and you'll be able to see all of the different videos that we have. And we have over 20 playlists at this moment. So a number of different topics, a range of different videos. You can find anything that you're really interested in. You'll be able to find it on the channel. So be sure to check it out, and we're constantly adding new videos and new playlists all the time. If you go on to the next slide here, you'll see that we're also timestamping these videos. So some of them can kind of get long, and we want to make it easier for you to access the information that's important to you. You can always just check at the progression bar at the bottom of your screen, or you can always check the description of all of our videos, and it clearly outlines what we're talking about at what part of the presentation. Two of the most recent videos we've also posted in the last week is caregiver stress. This was a great video led by one of our volunteers, Hannah. She basically talked about everything you need to know about managing your stress when taking care of a loved one. Now, this is particularly relevant in this climate with COVID-19 pandemic. So it's a great video which goes over how to manage your stress, how to find the joys and take out all the positives when it comes to taking care of loved ones, and also how to minimize a lot of the stresses that you're experiencing. And one more video as well. Last Friday we discussed how to get the most out of your appointment. There's a fantastic video where we discuss everything you need to consider before you come into the clinic, everything you should be considering and asking when you're at your appointment, and what you can keep in mind when you go home. So there's a number of different things we talk about. There's also a great handout which we provide at the end of the video. It's also in the description. You're more than welcome to check that out, print it off, and it's a fantastic guide for everything we want you to remember before, during, and after your appointment. Now, without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Chad. Chad is a friend, volunteer, and fellow patient at the clinic. He joins us every Friday, so you probably might recognize his face, might recognize his voice. He is a full plant-based eater, and so he's going to spend the next hour or so discussing what he eats in a typical week. He's going to discuss why he eats plant-based dieting and why he has made the transition over to a plant-based dieting. He's going to also go through some fantastic recipes and meal ideas for you as well. So as I mentioned, if you have any questions, please feel free to speak up or ask them in the chat, and we'll get to them throughout the presentation. Now, Chad, I'm going to unmute your mic. You're welcome to introduce yourself and begin whenever you're ready.
Okay. So welcome everyone to this presentation, Cooking with Chad. It's on whole food plant-based eating, healthy recipes for action and for reaction. I'm going to begin with who I am. So my background is law and mediation. I've taken a short break from my profession to volunteer in different ways. I'm a proud volunteer for Dr. Gregory Kernu. He has requested I do periodic speaks on the whole food plant-based eating. I say I am proud to be a volunteer because this doctor inspires me. I admire what he stands for, watching him work from his heart because he is passionate and genuinely cares about the health and welfare of his patients. Dr. Canoe is a unique one of a kind. Kindness is what he shows by occupying countless hours, collaborating with his team of staff and volunteers, brainstorming ideas for health seminars and meetings to exercise. I have never met a physician who truly cares about the health and welfare of his patients as he does. As a patient, I admire and I am grateful, and I hope other patients appreciate him as much as I do. I'm also a volunteer for the Kids Health Phone Crisis Text Line. My position is to receive texts from individuals in crisis who need help. They could be abused, being abused, thinking of suicide, self-harming, or in any other type of crisis. Allowing the texter a voice to reach out, they have no one else to turn to. I have many friends who are senior, and I've been volunteering by shopping and picking up lots of prescriptions and running around for appointments with them. So enough about me. The presentation is for you.
Well, first of all, I want to say that, Chad, thank you. And more importantly is that you've done so much for so many people. And you are truly one of a kind. And he's one of the few people that will come to the clinic at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning so we can discuss a project, or I can call him on a weekend, even goes biking with me, and even goes shopping with me. So thank you, Chad, for all you've done.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, thank you for being an amazing doctor and friend. Okay, so this presentation is a call for action. For every action, there is always a reaction. If you act by changing your diet to whole food plant-based eating, your body will react by becoming healthier. Your actions by changing your diet will cause a reaction for the world's environment, which in turn will cause an action and reaction for animal welfare. A call for action is my message. Acting now will make a difference for you and for the world around you. Next. I'm seeing less kindness in the world. I'm not sure how others see kindness. Humanity is an act of kindness, much like Dr. Canoe shares with all of his patients. I just want to show you a quick 2 little videos of kindness. Next. Whoops. Now, kindness feels good. It's warm. It warms your heart and soul. And we'll go with the next video.
To put him away for the night, so watch this. Pedro! He says, I thought you'd never ask. Hi, sweetie. You ready to go in? Come on.
Next slide.
To put him.
Yes, the 2 videos that were just shown as an act of kindness were sent to me from my good friend Diane Nicholson. She has a sanctuary for animals. Her sanctuary is called Twin Heart Sanctuary, named in memory after her twin boys who tragically passed away as babies. Next. Now it's time to discuss the kindness to oneself. If you become more kind to yourself, it will result in many reactions: health, happiness, and prosperity. Dr. Canoe asked if I would present examples of what a typical week would be for me, eating whole food plant-based. The following slides are what I eat to be kind to my body. First, what I think about when consuming food. I'll focus on foods that provide health benefits in the following categories. Food that provide anti-inflammatory benefits, because conditions linked to chronic inflammation include heart disease, cancer, diabetes, asthma, arthritis, and Alzheimer's disease. I want to pick foods that provide my body with ultimate nutrition by choosing high antioxidants, macronutrients, and micronutrients. Also, food that will keep my immune system strong, especially now during the pandemic. Refraining from consuming any foods with any artery-clogging cholesterol is a big focus of mine, such as any meats or meat byproducts, especially processed foods, example food in pre-made packaging. Next. Now, what do I eat? I generally start my day with either a bowl of oatmeal with any type of berry on top. Here you'll see blueberries, but I use a variation of berries. I'll have a cup of coffee with pure vanilla extract in it, a glass of filtered water with a slice of lemon. A simple way to add some vitamin C into your diet, and it helps with digestion. A cup of whole wheat or full grain toast topped with peanut butter or a low sugar jam. Next. Here's a quick explanation to why I eat oats for breakfast. Because they contain several components that have health benefits. The primary type of soluble fiber in oats is beta-glucan. Am I saying that right, Dr. Canoe?
Perfect.
Okay. Which has been researched to help slow digestion and supports appetite. Beta-glucan binds with cholesterol-rich bile acids in the intestine and transports them through the digestive tract and out of the body. Whole oats also contain plant chemicals called phenolic compounds and phytoestrogens that act as antioxidants to reduce the damaging effects of chronic inflammation that is associated with various diseases like cardiovascular disease and diabetes. Blueberries, or any type of berry you choose, are full of fiber, lots of vitamins, especially vitamin C, and antioxidants. Coffee contains high levels of antioxidants and beneficial nutrients such as riboflavin, pantothenic acid, manganese, potassium, magnesium, and niacin. Vanilla extract contains a compound known as vanillin that has an antioxidant, antidepressant, and anti-tumor effects. I place a quarter teaspoon in my coffee or a tablespoon in the pot of coffee. The peanut butter or peanuts contain mostly mono and polyunsaturated fats, which can help lower bad LDL cholesterol, and they're high in protein and fiber. Next. My breakfast every day will consist of either oats and toast with coffee or a powerhouse shake with toast and coffee. This is the next variation of a breakfast. It's easy to just purchase frozen fruits. I always put in cranberries and 2 other fruits. In this recipe, I use pineapple and mixed fruit. However, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, etc. are used. The other ingredients are cucumber, beet, carrot, and celery. Lentils, black beans, or other types of beans are also always added. Spinach is a staple, but for some reason is missing in this picture. And that's in the one picture there. On the next part there, it says flaxseed. Chia seeds, hemp hearts is a staple to all my shakes. It never changes. Metamucil will always be added, or psyllium husks. It's essentially the same thing except Metamucil is flavored. Next. Place all the ingredients into a high-speed blender for approximately 3 minutes. Voila! You now have a powerhouse protein shake full of antioxidants, vitamins, and micronutrients. The shake is guaranteed to have you feeling full and energized for the duration of your day. Next. So I don't bore you with this presentation. In the previous slide, I explained why I use ingredients of fruits and vegetables. I've added these for a reason. They are full of nutrients I focus on. Vitamins, anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, micro and macronutrients. For those of you who are wondering why I am putting the seeds into the shake, I'll be brief, but chia seeds are among the richest plant sources of the omega-3 fatty acid. No, it's a superfood, high in insoluble fiber, which may help lower harmful LDL cholesterol levels. Hemp seeds are rich in healthy fats and essential fatty acids. They're also a great protein source and contain high amounts of vitamin E, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, magnesium, sulfur, calcium, iron, and zinc. Flaxseed have excellent sources of many nutrients. Their health benefits are mainly due to their content of omega-3 fats and fiber. Psyllium helps lower LDL cholesterol levels as well as 2 other lipid markers for heart disease. It also pushes out other toxins out of your body. So this recipe that was just shown, what I did with it is the usual staple that I always put in all the shakes. The only thing that changes are my berries. But there's always spinach, cucumber, carrot, beet, and either lentils or a particular bean. Can be black beans. Celery is also, and cranberries. So those first items I've just mentioned, they're always in the shake every morning. That's when afterwards I'll add in a cup of 2 types of fruit. In the last slide, I threw in a half a cup of pineapple and a half a cup of, it was blueberry. But you can also add banana. There's potassium in a good portion of the different fruits that I use, but banana is a little bit higher in potassium, so if you are lacking potassium in your body, it's good to have a banana like once a day. For the seeds, I put in 1.5 tablespoons of chia seeds, 3 tablespoons of hemp seed, 2 tablespoons of flax seed, and these seeds alone account for 15 grams of protein, not mentioning the amount of protein you're receiving from the fruits and vegetables, and also the beans, which accounts for approximately 8 grams of protein with the fruits and vegetables. So just there, without the beans, there was 23 grams of protein. Next.
So Chad, if you just stay on that slide, is that for the absorption, do you feel that you have to grind the flax seeds and the seeds?
No, I don't. Well, I already purchased the psyllium, or I'm sorry, the flax seed. It's already ground. So I don't ground it. I've seen it in the bulk barn and that where it's not ground up, but I heard for the digestion, just like you were saying, it should be grounded.
Yeah, so it's important that to get the maximum absorption, it should be grounded. Very good.
Yeah, you can get it at Costco, a big bag of it. What's for lunch? Not to worry, I'm not going to bother you with any further about all the nutrients, vitamins, antioxidants, anti-inflammatory properties, micro and macronutrients that is in all of the recipes I'm going to share with you during this presentation. So, but once again, you're seeing lots of color there. So my veggie wraps is what I'm doing here. And I use a stick of celery in this recipe, sliced zucchini, some yellow, red, and green sweet peppers, a carrot, some red onion, and a half handful of spinach that goes on after I've actually fried up the vegetables. So they're really hot when I'm putting it on the flatbread, but I'll put the spinach on the flatbread first, and then put the hot vegetables on top, because I like my spinach not to be too soggy and limp. So yes, so you're going to fry all your ingredients on medium to high heat with 2 tablespoons of water. I don't use oil when I'm frying up my vegetables. You can add a half a tablespoon of Cajun spice, vegetable spice, and 1 clove of minced garlic. Also, you can throw some sliced up in ginger in there as well, because ginger's a powerhouse of a herb. Next.
Well, one question there for your for the toast that you use and for the breads that you use. How do you choose bread, toast, or flatbread? How do you pick them?
The flatbreads that you're seeing there are a multi-grain. so they're full. There's seeds and everything else in them. So, and my breads are generally whole grain seeded, some unsprouted or sprouted breads, things like that. So they're a little more of an expensive bread, but they're better for the body. And I get it at Costco, so they come in different loaves. So, and it's a very good cheap price at Costco.
Mention about sprouted bread. Tell me about sprouted bread. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's a healthier bread because when I can't really totally explain the whole concept about, but basically when your sprouts have the most nutrition. So if you can get a bread that's got sprouts in it, then you're getting higher nutrition out of it. I have Alzheimer's these days. I can't remember all the exact details, but a lot of people will even grow their own bean sprouts and things like that. And any form of a sprout, it's high in fiber, high in antioxidants, and there's lots of nutrition. You're going to place all the ingredients on top of a whole grain flatbread that has fresh spinach placed on it prior to the hot stir fry ingredients. Like I was saying, you roll and cut it in half. For lunch, it's also important to add some fruit. And in this particular lunch, I've added some fresh cantaloupe and a glass of filtered water with lemon. So throughout the day, with a lunch, I am always adding fruit in there. So a watermelon is one of my go-tos as well. Another couple of great choices for lunch are a garlic ginger soup with pasta salad or a fresh vegetable sprinkled with balsamic vinegar and a side plate of fresh fruits. So on the one side of the picture here, you're seeing where leftovers are terrific, so you aren't spending too much time in the kitchen. That's why I make a large amount of soup. The pasta salad is easy peasy. I use leftover pasta noodles, spinach, red, yellow, orange, bell peppers, shredded zucchini, mushrooms, and red onions. In a mixing bowl, I'll toss that up with some balsamic glaze. The same product in the next picture there, you're going to see a bottle. That's the balsamic glaze that I get. I use quite a bit of it, actually, because then, because it's a thicker sauce and it's balsamic, you're not having to add an oil. Some people want that little more of a thicker consistency instead of just using the vinegar. So, and then the continuation of that slide says, keep up with your water intake. So once again, I have filtered water with lemon. So on the right side of the slide here, another healthy choice for lunch is taking some vegetables, which I choose healthy. In this one, I've chosen the cherry tomatoes, orange and yellow bell peppers with a few mushrooms, and sliced cucumber. I sprinkle with balsamic vinegar. It's actually the balsamic glaze, and some extra on the side. A healthy side of fruit is a terrific addition. In this case, I felt like cantaloupe, pineapple, and grapes that particular day. So I've got fresh fruits on hand, but I also have frozen fruits, and the same goes to the vegetables. I've got both. One last recipe for you for lunch. I can't read the top thing. Oh, it's my salsa and guacamole. So, and this is really good to have around. So this particular recipe, it starts off with 2 large tins of diced tomatoes. Is generally that I go to. If I don't have any fresh tomatoes, because I'll also slice that up. When it was fall time, because in earlier discussions we've had about some people think that it's expensive to eat whole food plant-based, but I really actually don't see it. And I have I've got all these different flyers on my desk and everything, because I was planning on doing or putting in the presentation how I'll shop, and I'm looking at different specials at different stores for the items that I'm looking for. And in the fall time, though, I've bought big bushels of tomatoes and I'll freeze them in the freezer, and then I pull it out when I'm ready, and I take the skin off, and I make my own different sauces, and one is I make my own salsa sauce. But this particular one, I've done it where I've used 2 tins. And so this recipe is 2 tins of the diced tomatoes, a medium jalapeno pepper or serrano pepper. I use a little bit of fresh cilantro, 1 cup of it actually, a medium lime that's been juiced, a half a cup of chopped white or red onion, a tablespoon of cumin, and I put in a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt, a clove of garlic that's been crushed, and then I put it in the mixing bowl, mix it all up. And then for the guacamole, I've used 3 medium ripe avocados, a 1/4 cup of diced red onion. You've got a couple of tablespoons of diced jalapeno in there, and I put in 2-3 tablespoons of lime, half teaspoon of sea salt, a teaspoon of ground cumin, 1/8 of a teaspoon of red pepper flake, just to add a little bit of spice to it, and a 1/4 cup of minced cilantro. And then I mash it all together, and then I've got my guacamole. Next.
So, a question, Chad. When you said you got a bushel of tomatoes. Do you just throw them in the freezer? Do you bag them? Do you wash them? What do you do?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, no. I wash them all up and let them soak, and I just in a big tub and get them all cleaned up, and then with the skin and everything, I put it in big plastic containers, and I put them in the freezer for when I'm ready. So then, when I'm ready, let's say the next day I want to make some form of a red sauce, tomato sauce, I'll pull them out and let them sit in the refrigerator, or I'll just let them sit on the counter for about maybe 3 or 4 hours, and then they've defrosted, and then you just need to just grab the tomato and you squeeze it, and it pops out of the actual skin, so it's the easiest way to skin it, and then just you can just throw away your skins, or you can keep it off to the side if you're going to make a soup. It works good for a soup base, and then that's how I do it. Yes.
What vegetables do you put in the freezer, and what fruits do you put in the freezer, and how do you do that?
I don't do much in the way of blanching. My frozen vegetables and fruits all end up just purchasing frozen. But in this instance, with the tomatoes, you don't have to blanch them beforehand. But with most of the other stuff, you have to do that.
So one thing we do quite a bit, if bananas are starting to get ripe, we peel them and we put them in the freezer, and then we just chop them up and put them in anything. You mentioned your oatmeal, and one of the things I love to do when I have my oatmeal is I take a little bit of sort of ripe frozen bananas and just chop a few in there with a few almonds or whatever. I put any seed I can find in there as well, and I just throw in some cinnamon. I think that's just beautiful, and that little bit of frozen fruit. I actually like it because I like the hot oatmeal time, and a little bit of frozen fruit on it feels like ice cream a little bit. It's kind of nice treat.
Yeah, I've actually done the freezing of the bananas too, and that's great. And because if I'm making my banana bread or other things, you just have to pull it out of the freezer, and it's at that ripeness, because it's got that sweetness to it because you've ripened it up quite a bit.
Now, do you always take the skin off or leave the skin on when you freeze them?
When I'm freezing them, I actually leave the skin on.
Yeah, so I find it's a pain in the neck to get the skin off, so I often take the skin off first and then put in the freezer, but I think you can go either way, I think. Is that right, Chad?
I could imagine so, yeah. I just have the habit of leaving the skin on, but I'll try it with the skin off too.
And I know that we did that forks over knives course about that chopping technique there. It's much easier to chop a frozen banana that has no skin on it, and I can do that. What's that cut that we learned, that rounded cut there? What's it called again?
Oh my goodness, I forget the name of it, but I do it all the time now.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, all those different cutting techniques. I actually use it now. So. Probably saved myself a few fingers because of using the newer techniques. So yeah, so this slide, it's voila. You have some guacamole and salsa with chips in no time at all. And it really doesn't take very much time, like maybe 10 to 15 minutes for both. It says 10 minutes in total. So, but if you're a little slower, take it 15. It's extremely healthy and nutritious lunch or snack. So, and I can just sit at the computer and I'm feeling a bit hungry, and all I have to do is pull out some guacamole and salsa and the chips, and I'm just eating away while I'm doing whatever I'm doing at the computer. So it's nice and handy.
What chips do you use?
I get them at Costco. They're baked chips, so they're not deep fried, which is important because you want to look at the types of the chips that you're getting as well, and how they're prepared. So these are low fat because they're baked. But I've also made, as you saw on the previous slide, the flatbreads. You can get a pizza cutter and you cut through, and you can make your own taco chips, because then you take that. You can brush it a little bit with oil. That'll give it a little bit more of a crunch. But you don't have to. Put it in the oven for, I think it's about 375 for about 15 minutes, and then now you've made your own taco chips. But that particular ones that you're seeing there, I got them at Costco, and they're baked, so they're low fat and they're whole grain.
And you can see that water is the #1 beverage.
Yeah, I do drink a lot of water. I've got water beside me, and it's surprising if you just keep the water beside you, how many times you'll actually grab for it and take a sip. So it's good it helps with the detoxification of your body and just keeping you hydrated and your electrolytes and everything in order. So it's another suggestion for lunch, which this one particular day I was in a rush, and sometimes we just want something really fast and not going into big production. So this is like doing something really quick, and that's just making yourself a tomato, cucumber, and spinach sandwich. Once again, this bread is a whole grain bread, and I use most times I'll do my bread, especially if it's using something like tomatoes and cucumbers, because you already have moisture in it, and I won't put any butter on it. And I say butter, but it's not really butter. It's not margarine. It's a thing. There's a picture further on with the label on it. It's called Crystal, and it's a vegan spread, but it tastes just like butter to me. And whenever I've had company over and I've made them a sandwich or whatever, and they've tried it, they couldn't really tell the difference between a pound of butter and what this tasted like. And this, because it's plant-based, you're not getting any form of cholesterol in it. Okay, next. So there's many versions of what to have as a snack. I like to eat approximately 1/4 to 1/2 cup of mixed nuts. I purchased the Kirkland unsalted mixed nuts in this case. They're high in calories, so I just suggest not to take more than 1/2 a cup a day. In this picture below, it's about 1/2 a cup, and the calorie count is 190 calories and 10 grams of protein. Lots of water throughout the day is important to keep you hydrated, and it also helps with removing the toxins from your body. So these ones are unsalted, but sometimes I have an issue with sodium in my body. It always drops down really low. So I'll also just get a handful of peanuts, salted peanuts with lots of salt on it, and take that as well.
So what's kind of important is that for most of us, we want to limit our salt intake, but some people are prone to something called hyponatremia. So we're thinking about the tea and toast individuals. So a lot of older people who don't have enough protein in their diet and adequate food, if they're just eating tea and toast, so to speak, is that you can drop your sodium. Water pills can sometimes make that worse. So for some of us, there's some people who have low blood pressure. Some people I recommend a higher salt diet. That's sort of the exception rather than the norm. And so one of the things is that know your sodium. And I know Stuart will show you We're going to do a webinar what's in the blood one of these days, and we'll explain that to you. But if your serum is less than 130, then sometimes you need to have more salt in your diet, and also maybe fluid restrict as well. But that's another talk for another discussion. But I love those mixed nuts, and I always try to buy the mixed nuts without salt. Number one, because things that are salty or sweet make you eat more. Traditionally, when you go to a bar or a pub, they'll give you salty food, and salty food makes you drink 30% more alcohol. So I try to keep my calories down. So be careful about salt for most of us.
So what's for dinner? I always begin my dinner with a soup as an appetizer first. My favorite is my garlic ginger soup. Why? I guess because of the powerful anti-inflammatory properties and antioxidant benefits to ginger and garlic. Extremely beneficial for the heart and immune system. Don't worry, I won't bother you with the explanation of all the details of what's inside of it to benefit your body, because this isn't sort of this kind of a presentation. It's about sharing some recipes, but it is a powerhouse of nutrients. You must know, and it's also a great cleanser for your body. I begin this recipe with the cuttings of vegetables over the last few days. I then boil them to obtain a vegetable broth as my base. Then I add the following ingredients. So the lower picture there to the right, those are vegetables from the top that I've boiled up, and then you've got a vegetable base for any of your soups that you are going to prepare. So and those are all the ingredients on the left there. But I'll explain that on the next slide. So this garlic ginger soup recipe is, I use 4 liters, but this particular recipe that I did, and I presented with the slide the amount of ingredients, but I've got a big, huge pot that it's probably more of a 16-liter pot. So I make big, huge amounts of soup, and then what I'll do after it cools, I put it into containers and I freeze it. So I'm not always every day trying to make a soup or come up with something, and it's great because sometimes I just, not only with dinner, but I'll just feel like a soup for lunch hour with a sandwich or some fruit. And so it's good whenever you're making your soups to make it nice big portions, and then you can just reheat afterwards. So at any given time, I probably got a half a dozen soups in the freezer, and then I'm always rotating. So about every once a week, I make my big huge pot of this ginger soup. So this one, it's got that amount of liters, 16 cups of vegetable broth. And if you are making your own vegetable broth and it didn't make enough of it, that's fine. Just add the water up to the 4-liter level. You add in a cup of chopped ginger, celery, carrot, mushrooms, and red onion. It's just 1 cup for all of that. 3 tablespoons of chopped garlic, 4 chicken oxal cubes. Now, this is where I'm not perfect all the time because this is processed and it's really junky. You really shouldn't use chicken oxal cubes, but for some people, they just need that little bit of an extra flavor, and I felt that it was important for the presentation as this recipe for people to start trying different things out. Sometimes you want to add a little bit of that, but I'm fine without the oxal cubes. I throw in a tablespoon of oregano, basil, vegetable spice, and rosemary, half a teaspoon of sage, thyme, celery seed, poultry seasoning. Another thing that I put in my soups to give a little bit of an oriental flair, especially if I'm having company that I'm serving the soup to, I'll put in the sesame seed oil. It just adds that little more of a oriental type taste to it. You just bring it to a boil for 15 minutes, then simmer with the lid on for an additional 15 minutes, and voila, it's ready. So it's not that big of a production to make.
Can you overcook the spinach and vegetables at times? Is that a problem?
I'm I'm always very cautious of that, so I don't overboil. I remember in the old days, or when I was younger, that grandparents or other people used to boil their soups for hours on hours, or they're making a spaghetti sauce and they've let it simmer overnight and to get all the flavors out, they say. But I don't feel that that's necessary, because I think the more cooking you do, you're actually losing more nutrients. So I want to capture everything I can. So I don't overcook any of my soups. Essentially, most times, if I'm making a big vegetable soup, I'll turn it on, get it to that rolling boil, and that maybe for about 5 minutes with the vegetables in it. Then I'll shut off the stove, keep the lid on, I don't lift it up at all, and let it sit there for a half an hour and just let it cook on its own without additional adding more heat. And it comes out very flavorful, and I'm more confident that I haven't cooked away all the nutrients out of it. So this is one of my pizzas. This one here, I did 2 versions. It's not showing 2 versions though. But these particular doughs, I cheat. I don't make my own dough. I've done it before, and I'm not perfect at it. Sometimes it works out great, and other times it just wants to be a flop. So I get, most of the time, my dough is pre-made from the grocery store. You can get it at any of them, Fortino's, Food Basics, No Frills. They all have it in the bread section, in the refrigerator area. And as you know, I'm always in Costco, so Costco's come out with now bags of dough. So they're balls in the freezer section that are already made. So this way, it's in the freezer. They're small enough that if you feel like a pizza, it can be defrosted in a couple of hours. And so that's why you're seeing 2 there, because it's actually two balls, because they're smaller than what you'd get at a grocery store. At the grocery store, it would fill the whole pan up. So, and I use different vegetables in that. I mean, in this particular picture here, I've added the tomato sauce. I use my own spaghetti sauce, but you can purchase sauce at the grocery store or get a tin of like the sauces, or a jar of sauce. And what I do, if you were going to do that, I'd probably suggest add a little bit more garlic, and then you spread that on top of the dough. The first layer I put on is the spinach, and then I'll add in the tomatoes, the mushrooms, green peppers, red and yellow bell peppers, red onion, zucchini. And for one of the pizzas there, just for a little bit of a flavor difference, I added the pineapple. As you can see on this though, I like my pizzas sort of chunky and hearty, so that's sort of looking that way. So I slice all the ingredients. You can add as much or as little as you wish. I like to powerhouse my pizza slice. So it's got a half teaspoon of garlic mixed in the tomato sauce. Spread the sauce over the dough evenly. Spread spinach over top of the sauce, as I was saying. Then begin layering all the other ingredients. Sprinkle with basil and oregano. I bake it in the oven at 450 for 20 minutes, and voila, you have a healthy pizza. So again, this doesn't take any time at all to prepare, and you're getting lots of nutrients there.
Now the dough that you use, is that whole wheat dough or white flour? What's in there?
Yeah, in this one here from Costco, it wasn't whole wheat. So generally when I'm at the grocery store, I pick up whole wheat. But Costco doesn't have the whole wheat right now, so I cheated. I was bad. Thanks for catching me. Okay, here's how I make my vegetarian spaghetti sauce. And it's 3 jars of stewed tomatoes. I'll use those jars. It's like a liquidy thing. I put in 2 small tins of tomato paste, 2 tins of diced tomatoes, 4 bay leaves, 2 tablespoons of oregano, 2 tablespoons of basil, Again, I'm putting in 3 tablespoons of crushed garlic, and we've got a teaspoon of black pepper in there, a full red and a full yellow sweet pepper that's been chopped up, about 12 small portobello mushrooms, a couple of onions there, they're medium size. I've got 5 sticks of celery and a cup of spinach. So the preparation is I start simmering the tomatoes into a 16-liter or more pot. Once simmered for about 5 minutes, I then add in the diced tomatoes and tomato paste. Then chop all your fresh vegetables and place in the pot and start stirring all the ingredients in. Continuing simmering for 1 hour to allow all the flavors to blend through. So this isn't cooked at a high heat. It's at a simmer, so that's why I'll do a longer duration on this, so it takes an hour of cook time. And then once again, voila, you made your own healthy spaghetti sauce in about an hour and 15 minutes from start to finish.
Chad, question about what onions do you use? What mushrooms do you use, Deborah? And when you get celery, what celery do you use? And do you buy organic or non-organic?
You know, I buy both, but there's so much controversy over the actual organic. Like, there's so much contamination everywhere nowadays. Like, how much real, true organic are you getting? It could have been grown organic, but by the time different, depending on the area, if there's other farmland there, and how much other contamination, environmental contamination is going on, are you truly getting something really clean? But not unless you're going to grow it yourself. So I grew my own celery this summer. I had 2 big planter boxes of celery, and which was very flavorful. Other than that, it's mostly just at Costco, except for I just get, and I don't have any preference. So for onions, like I use them all. I use shallots, I use red onions, white onions. So.
How'd you pick mushrooms?
Those are again, once again, at Costco, and it's. They say there's not much difference between the portobello mushroom and the regular mushroom. So I'm always flipping from one to the other. If I'm making a dish, which I was on the fence about including on this presentation, but if you're getting the really big portobello mushrooms, what I do is I stuff them. And there was a couple of recipes I was going to share, but I wanted to keep the time frame down. And it's like a mashed cauliflower mixture that goes on top of the big, huge portobello mushroom, and a few other ingredients that are in there and spices, and it's very flavorful, and it's heavy, like in the stomach. So when you just need 2 of them, and you're actually full. So, and you can also use them when you're doing, like, let's say a veggie burger type of thing, or somewhat like a veggie burger, like a bun. So there's different methods to use with the big, huge portobello mushrooms. So it depends on the type of dish that I'm going to make.
You mentioned cauliflower. Is that I've been introduced this year to cauliflower potatoes, and we love potatoes. I'm trying to get rid of, decrease the amount of potatoes and just breads in general. And you can actually have cauliflower potato, and you can actually replace potato with cauliflower, and boy, it's not that much different.
Yes, you're right, and it's a lot healthier. Cauliflower is a powerhouse again of nutrients. So here, I've done a main course of a pasta vegetable stir fry, and with a side plate of baked potatoes. Talking about potatoes, how coincidental! But I do like my baked potatoes once in a while, and so in instance, on the left here, you're seeing all the different ingredients, and there's that spread that I was talking about that tastes like butter at the top of the picture. It's called Crystal there. That's beside the noodle bowl, if you can identify each item there. But here I've got a 1/4 cup of chopped celery, asparagus. It's a handful of asparagus there. It's if I'm not mistaken, because the print is a little bit hard for me to see here, but it's a half a cup of parsley, and it'd be probably half a cup of sliced green peppers. Same for chopped carrots, sliced red peppers. I've got sliced zucchini in there, mushrooms, sliced red onions, the spinach. There was I cooked up some pasta shells, and using the Crystal vegan Crystal butter flavor, and 2 tablespoons of garlic. So what I did with that vegan that butter flavor is that was a tablespoon that I put in. So the preparation is begin baking your I use the russet potato. It has higher value in nutrients compared to some of the other potatoes. And I bake it at 450 for about 20 to 25 minutes. That's for a medium one. And then I start up the frying of on medium of I throw in 2 tablespoons of garlic into the frying pan, and then I've added in the 2 tablespoons, so it should be 2 tablespoons of the vegan butter into the frying pan. Get the garlic sort of browning, and then I stir in the sliced chopped vegetables into the frying pan. I fry for about 5 minutes, continuously tossing the ingredients. So once again, not to make anything soggy and overcooked. I like my vegetables still somewhat firm, so it's just cooking it till you see more vibrant color from the heat that's heated up the vegetables, and then I mix it in with the noodles afterwards, and so it's like a garlic butter type of flavor to it, and that's how it looks.
One of the problems I have with my fruits and vegetables is that they go bad. We keep around for too long. And what's some of the pearls so we don't throw away all our fruits and vegetables? Or in our case, I feed them to our animals. We have some little ponies and the sheep, and so we can use that in that way. But what's your help about not throwing away too many fruits and vegetables because they've gone bad?
Well, that's a really good question, actually, and a lot of people do that, and that's really nice of you. That's very kind of you to be feeding the animals some better nutrition there with your stuff that's going to start to spoil. But what I do is I actually will prepare a soup, or when it comes to the fruits beginning to go a little off, I throw it into my protein shake in the morning. So I don't let anything go to waste. Nothing at all. So this next dish that I had prepared is Italian stuffed peppers. So this is a different kind of sauce. So what I did to start it off, there's 2 tablespoons of olive oil. There's 4 cloves of garlic minced. And we've got a couple of tins of the diced tomatoes in there, 1/4 teaspoon of chili flakes, 1 teaspoon of salt, heavy pinch of black pepper, a bay leaf, and teaspoon of dried oregano. So the ingredients for the peppers were 6 peppers cut in half from top to bottom and seeded to make 12 halves. So this was a big dish. Actually, it was last Friday. I had a company drop in, and this is what I had made. So remember when I said I have to slip away, company? So I had lots of stuffed peppers on hand. So then I've 2 cups of cooked brown rice or quinoa, and sometimes I'll just cook the both and then mix it up, because I'll use it again for another dish. Once again, my suggestion to a lot of people is make your portions really big when you're doing the cooking, because then you don't have to cook again the following day a whole bunch of dishes. You can have leftovers and things like that, so you're not spending so much time in the kitchen all the time. I throw in 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 cloves of garlic that are minced, a large onion that's been diced up, 2 stalks of celery that are diced, 1.5 cups of finely chopped broccoli, 3 medium zucchinis that have been diced up, a half bunch of spinach, and a half cup of toasted walnuts, half cup of finely chopped black olives. Now, black olives in dishes like that, even in your spaghetti sauces, really adds a lot of flavor. It's really nice. Oh, or in veggie burgers too. I put black olives. Once again, it gives that unique, different type of flavor to it. I put in a generous handful each of chopped parsley, basil, plus more when I'm garnishing it. Next slide. So continuing on for the sauce, start the sauce. Heat 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a medium saucepan. Once hot, add the garlic and saute until softened and fragrant. Add the canned tomatoes, chili flakes, salt, pepper, bay leaf, and oregano. Bring that to a simmer and simmer for about 45 minutes in this instance because you're trying to thicken it up. So you're not going to cook it with the lid on. You can make your stuffing and prepare your peppers, your bell peppers during this time. And I didn't take a picture of it, but these peppers were already basted with the oil that I had mentioned. And once the sauce is done, discard the bay leaf and puree 3/4 of the sauce in a blender until creamy. Return to the pot mixed with remaining sauce. So I have a Ninja, so I have a high speed blender. So I threw the sauce in there and put it on high for about maybe 30-45 seconds, and it just made everything all condensed and nicely chopped, pureed. So the instructions for the peppers: preheat the oven to 400. After you've cooked the brown rice and your quinoa, put it off to the side. You want 2 cups of it. Prepare the peppers is cutting the peppers in half from the top to the bottom. I think I said that already. And brush with the olive oil and salt and pepper. Lay the peppers outside, cut side down on a foil sheet. That's what you're seeing here in the oven. And then that's when I placed them in the oven for 15 minutes. So that was that picture there. Then heat 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a deep saute pan. Once hot, add the garlic, the onion, and the celery and season with sea salt and pepper. Cook until softened but not browned, about 5 minutes. Next, add the broccoli and cook until crisp, tender. About 3 to 5 minutes, not long at all. And then you add in your zucchini and spinach and cook for an additional 5 minutes until the zucchini is tender and the spinach is wilted. Lastly, add in the walnuts and olives and heat through. Adjust mixture for seasoning by adding more salt if necessary and set aside. Next slide. So that's what I was doing there. I was making that this is the filling that I'm mixing up here. So then you're going to assemble your peppers. So once the sauce is done, spread an even layer on the bottom of a large baking dish. Place the peppers cut side up in a large bowl. Mix the vegetable mixture as I've done here in the picture. Adding the brown rice and quinoa and a large handful each of chopped parsley and basil. Stuff the peppers well in the mixture. Cover the peppers in additional sauce, reserving some sauce for serving. Cover it up. I threw some tinfoil over top of it. That's in the baking dish, and the bell peppers were cooked in 20 to 25 minutes. Served with additional sauce and a generous sprinkling of fresh herbs and a touch of sea salt. So that's the picture, the final on the plate there. So, and I've actually found the protein in that was 8.2 and the fiber was 5, which was good. Fat's a little bit high, but it's not bad fats. It's good fats. It's not cholesterol. Can't forget about desserts. So this is my vanilla bean coconut ice cream. I like ice cream at nighttime, and I'm a big chocolate fan. I have to have chocolate. So this one here, it's really good. So I picked that. I've also got a couple of other really good ice cream recipes that I can pass along, and like in chocolate way. This one here is vanilla though. So I've used 2 14-ounce cans of coconut cream. And for example, at the grocery store, it was just on sale like 2 weeks ago at 88 cents a tin. So like this ice cream, it's next to nothing to actually make. It's really cheap. And a half a cup of organic cane sugar. In this instance, Yeah, that's the thing there. So cane sugar. You can also use the agave nectar or maple syrup. So a pinch of sea salt, 2 vanilla bean pods split and scraped, 1.25 teaspoon of vanilla powder, or 3 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. So I get my vanilla. I use vanilla a lot because I do different dishes when I'm doing the baking and that. And so I use lots of vanilla, and I get the pure vanilla that generally I get when I'm in Mexico. When I'm there, I pick up like 6 bottles of it. So because it is an expensive item. And in Costco right now, they sell the pure stuff as well. So you don't want the artificial flavoring stuff because that's just garbage. So I use the pure stuff, the real vanilla. So here, the day or night before, place your ice cream churning bowl in the freezer. I don't know how many people have got this. There's other ways to making the ice cream, but these particular machines here, you can get it at Walmart probably for about $25. So they're not that expensive, maybe $30. So then the following day, add your coconut milk, organic cane sugar, or you can go with the natural sweetener, for example, the maple syrup and that. Sea salt, scraped vanilla bean, and vanilla extract to a high-speed blender. Blend on high until completely creamy and smooth for about 1 to 2 minutes. And then and that's to dissolve the sugar. Add more cane sugar or agave if it needs it for more sweetness or more vanilla. In this recipe, I don't think you need anything extra, but some people want even more flavor of vanilla maybe, but it could take away from it. So at least try this recipe first. Add the mixture directly to the chilled ice cream maker and churn according to your manufacturer's instructions, about 45 minutes. So that's what mine takes, is about 45. So you just flip the power and the thing turns around and does its thing.
Chad, can you use honey instead of cane sugar, or instead of sugar or maple syrup?
Good question. Yes, 100%. And it's way better for you if you go with the honey. I should have put that in there. So again, with this, once churned, transfer the ice cream to a large freezer-safe container, such as a loaf pan, and use a spoon to smooth off the top. Cover securely and freeze for at least 4 to 6 hours until firm. Set out for 5 to 10 minutes before serving to soften. Hot ice cream scoop also eases up the scooping because it can get really hard. Coconut milk is different than like if you're using cow milk. So keep in the freezer. You can keep this in the freezer for up to 10 days. Voila, you've made your own healthy ice cream that is cholesterol-free, a food and treat combined. Cholesterol hates it, you'll love it.
Beautiful. Can you use other types of milk? Can you use like oat milk or other types of milk in that, or you have to use coconut?
You know, I've never tried any other type of milk. I think it's really, you got to lean on the coconut milk. Yeah, but I'll check it out. I'll try a couple, see how I make out. Now these ones you're gonna love. So these are the healthy Snicker bars. So it's vegan and gluten free. And the caramel layer, what you do is you pack a cup of dates, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, teaspoon of vanilla extract, teaspoon of maca powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then for the nougat, you're throwing in 2/3 cup of oat flour and 1/4 cup of date caramel. 1/2 cup dry roasted peanuts. I use the salted ones. And 4 ounces of vegan chocolate. So you remove the pits from the dates if they're not already pitted, and then you push for the amount of proper dates that you want, you really squish the dates down into the 1 cup measurement, transfer the dates to a larger bowl and cover with hot water, soak the dates for about 10 minutes. If you don't have oat flour, that's really easy. Just make some by blending a scant of 2/3 cup of quick or rolled oats in a blender for about 45 to 60 seconds until smooth and fluffy. So oat flour is really, if you don't have any, it's easy to just make your own, and it's a lot cheaper than buying at the store. Drain any excess liquid off the dates. They should be relatively moist, not dripping, and then add them to a food processor or a high-speed blender with the remaining ingredients for the caramel. The process until thick and smooth, scraping the sides of the device if it's getting stuck at the side. So that's my food processor there. So I spun it around enough, and yes, I had to taking it off the sides until it made a big clump, as you're seeing there. It's sort of like a doughy type of clump.
Now, you mentioned about the high-speed blenders. So someone's going to buy a blender. What are the choices? Can you just use any old blender, or you need something special?
You know, you can buy different blenders out there. My favorite has been for years is the Ninja. It's really good. You can get like the Vita Juice, or I think it's called. There's a brand out there, but they want like $400 for it, and you can pick up a Ninja, which I even, when I'm cutting up different vegetables, I'll cut them a certain amount, and then I'll just put them in the Ninja and push the pulse a couple times, and it makes it more chopped up, so it saves me a lot of time with my chopping. So the Ninja is very versatile for doing all kinds of different things. You can even put in the previous recipe that you were seeing that I was making up that sauce for the stuffed bell peppers, that tomato sauce, and you have to pour it into a blender that's while it's hot. So the Ninja also handles all of that stuff. So you can put boiling hot things in it and pureate it, and it works perfectly fine. So that's a go-to, and it's very reasonable price. I think I seen in a flyer there at Canadian Tire. They're really they're on sale right now, so you can pick up a nice one for probably under $80. So then you remove the date caramel from the food processor, add the oat flour to the food processor, and then that's where that last picture that I continue on blending it up. This should form a slight sticky dough that'll hold together, as you saw in that picture. Then firmly and evenly press the oat flour nougat into a small and narrow container. Use a spatula to spread the remaining date caramel evenly over the nougat. Then sprinkle the peanut pieces over the caramel. Use your fingers to press the peanuts into the caramel layer so they stick. Place this in the freezer for about an hour to an hour and a half until it's firm. And then you take it out, and as you see there, you start slicing it up into bars. And return them back to the freezer again to become more frozen, because in the next step, as I'm going to show you, you're going to start melting your chocolate to dip them. So next slide. So here you melt your chocolate using, I use a double boiler type of method there with the glass pot over boiling water, and I do it that way. I try not to use a microwave too much, but you can use a microwave. If you choose to use the microwave, place your chocolate pieces in a wide bowl so the candy bars will fit along the base of it there when you're dipping it in. You're microwaving for, I think it says 40 seconds there, intervals, stirring in between. Once the chocolate is 75% melted, stop microwaving, and then start mixing it up, and it'll even itself out. Now you've got to move quickly, placing one candy bar into the bowl of the melted chocolate. Use 2 forks to flip them over on a coated, once they're coated on all sides. Then place it onto a plate lined with parchment paper. Repeat with the remaining bars. Place the bars in the fridge for about 10 minutes to allow the chocolate to harden up. Serve, and voila, you're done. It'll stay in the refrigerator for up to 10 days. And if you put it in the freezer, it'll last a month. So they're really good. And this is vegan chocolate. So again, you can get it at Goodness Me. You can get it at Not all grocery stores, but Fortino's you can pick it up at, or else the once again Costco is now selling. They're really making a lot of changes on their shelves. They're bringing out more vegan dishes or full plant-based dishes, and there's also other items, including this. Recently, they've brought in the chocolate. So once again, the reason why I'm using what they're referring to as a vegan chocolate, because I don't want the cholesterol. I don't want cow milk in there. That's going to give me the cholesterol, and it's better for you. Next slide, Stuart.
So what's the difference between, besides in vegan chocolate, what else is in vegan chocolate? How's that different from, you mentioned cow's milk versus a different, I guess a different milk. Tell me some of the difference between vegan chocolate and regular chocolate.
Well, in this instance here for the chocolate, I just it's using water and cocoa powder, and there was a couple of other ingredients that I add in with for the sweetener and stuff like that. So there's not even coconut milk that you're making it with, and this chocolate tastes like just like pretty much like real chocolate. So you're getting the real cocoa flour. I get the high percentage, 60% and above of cocoa. So it's just more nutritious. So it's not like a milk chocolate where the base is a milk base, and which is usually done from cow's milk, which then now you're getting a different form of fat. And it's where these don't have any fat. The chocolate part, it doesn't have any fats, and it has no cholesterol, and it's not that much difference in flavor.
Great. Another thing you mentioned, microwaving or not. I know you're not a microwave fan. Can you tell us what's your thoughts about microwaving?
I don't know. I heard way back that microwaving just the molecules of the food or whatever, it just explodes inside while it's being microwaved. So I heard once before. I have to do research, up-to-date research, but it was just a thing with me that I heard that it takes a lot of the nutrients away from whatever that, like if you were trying to cook up some broccoli or something in the microwave or heat it up, that it's basically exploding all the different nutrients, the cells and molecules of whatever it is that's gone in there.
So I'm going to ask Stuart if he knows anything about this, because that's one of those areas I'm not well versed, but I do think that microwaving goes to a higher temperature, and that might have some potential adverse effects or not. I wonder if anybody in the group knows about, because I find microwaving so practical, but I'm just wondering, should I change that habit or not? So I wonder if Stuart, anybody else knows, or anybody else in the audience out there has an opinion about microwaving, and it's something we'll have to look up to a little bit more detail. But I must admit I don't know enough about it. Any thoughts from anybody?
Hi there. Hi, Chad.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Helen. I'm a dear friend with Chad, and he invited me to sit on the group today, which I have very much enjoyed. I've kept quiet up until now. Chad, your presentation is wonderful. The microwaving, I agree with Chad. It's clearly it's not good for us, and I personally don't own a microwave, and nor have I used one. It's radioactive, right? It's radiation. You're zapping your food with radiation. It can't possibly be good for anyone. I don't think there should even be a debate on that particular subject, personally.
Well, thanks for your opinion. I've got to do some more homework on that, because lots of things we need to learn about, and thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, and Helen, Chad is just a wonderful cook, wonderful person in so many ways. Great. Any other thoughts from anybody else?
I'll do my research right away on what's going on with the microwave for sure.
You know, it's interesting that we're always learning. So a lot of the things I've learned in medicine were wrong, so I'm constantly learning and unlearning, and you know, you mentioned something right off the bat about you want a diet that's rich in antioxidants. You want a diet that's anti-inflammatory. I think what we're learning about inflammation is quite harmful. So one of the things is being overweight is very much an inflammatory condition. Many medical problems, from heart disease, it's inflammatory. And we're now using, in heart disease, there's been 2 big trials with colchicine. Colchicine is traditionally used for gout, but it's also anti-inflammatory. And that shows quite significant benefit protection of the heart. And so your idea about trying to get foods that are rich in antioxidants is a wonderful concept. I'm trying to be anti-inflammatory by exercising more, by weighing less, and probably composition of diet as well. So there's so many ways of looking at that. So and that's actually something new over the last number of years. So we're learning all the time.
Now, this last but not least is because there's only I got tons of recipes I can share with people, so I can send them along. But for this particular presentation, I kept it down to a dull roar. So just one more before you fall asleep on me. If you're a chocolate lover as much as I am, and if you don't have any chocolate bars on hand, I have the perfect alternative. It's hot chocolate, and even Santa's going to love this one. It's a cup of unsweetened almond milk, 1 tablespoon of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1.5 teaspoons of dairy-free semi-sweet chocolate chips. Once again, they're the referenced as vegan chocolate chips. Sweetener of choice, so you can use a tablespoon of raw sugar or some sativa on this. 1/8 of a teaspoon of peppermint extract. The peppermint extract, I was going on earlier about those extracts and don't get artificial, but that's artificial is what I put in there. Some coconut whipped cream. It's another recipe in itself, and I didn't include it because now you're going to add a lot of calories to your hot chocolate, and if you just try this hot chocolate the way it is, it's really tasty, and you don't need to put any whipped cream on it. Add the almond milk to a large mug, and you can microwave that for 1 minute. Alternately, which I do, is you add it to a saucepan over medium heat. Once the milk is warm, add some cocoa powder, chocolate, and sweetener, and whisk to combine it up. Put back in the microwave or continue cooking on the stove top until completely combined and has reached your preferred temperature. Taste and adjust sweetness as needed. So sometimes for some people they'll want to add in just a little bit more of a particular sweetener. Lastly, add in your extract of choice, which I put in the peppermint. It just gives that candy cane chocolate type of thing. But once again, you don't have to put the peppermint extract in there either. That's optional. But when I made this particular recipe, I included it in, and that's why it's in the picture, because sometimes I just have a fancy for that. You could also even add in some vanilla, different flavorings to your hot chocolate, whatever might fancy you. And that's the one thing about all these particular recipes. It's not really, these are recipes, but you can really change them around to your liking. Like if there's not a particular vegetable or fruit that you like, flip it over for something else. So it's not written in stone when you're eating a whole food plant-based diet. You can really make a lot of different changes to the recipes. Next slide. So increasing numbers of people are moving toward vegan diets due to health, food, animal welfare, or environmental concerns. A 2018 Gallup poll reports that about 3% of people in the United States are fully plant-based and notes that sales of plant-based foods are on the rise. A large-scale 2019 by the American Heart Association study has linked a higher intake of plant-based foods and lower intake of animal foods with a reduced risk of heart disease and death in adults. Next page. Animal products including meat, cheese, butter are the main dietary sources of saturated fats. According to the American Heart Association, eating foods that contain these fats raises cholesterol levels. High levels of cholesterol increase the risk of heart disease and stroke. Plant foods are also high in fiber, which the American Heart Association link with better heart health. Animal products contain very little or no fiber, while plant-based vegetables and grains are the best sources. Next slide. Raising animals for food requires massive amounts of land, food, energy, and water. The byproduct of animal agriculture pollute our air and waterways. As the world's appetite for meat increases, countries across the globe are bulldozing huge swaths of land to make more room for animals as well as crops to feed them. From tropical rainforests in Brazil to ancient pine forests in China, entire ecosystems are being destroyed to fuel humans' addiction to meat. According to scientists at the Smithsonian Institute, 7 football fields worth of land is bulldozed every minute to create more room for farmed animals and the crops that feed them. Carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide together cause the vast majority of global warming. Producing little more than 2 pounds of beef causes more greenhouse gas emissions than driving a car for 3 hours and uses up more energy than having your house lights on for the same period of time. According to the United Nations, a global shift toward a plant-based diet is one of the steps necessary to combat the worst effects of climate change. Next slide, please. Each day, factory farms produce billions of pounds of manure, which ends up in lakes, rivers, and drinking water. The 1 trillion pounds of waste produced by factory farmed animals each year are usually used to fertilize crops, and they subsequently end up running off into waterways, along with the drugs and bacteria that they contain. Many tons of waste end up in giant pits in the ground or on crops, polluting the air and the groundwater. In addition to polluting the environment, factory farming strives to produce the most meat, milk, and eggs as quickly and cheaply as possible and in the smallest amount of space possible, resulting in abusive conditions for animals. They're fed drugs that fatten them more quickly, and they are genetically manipulated now to grow faster or produce much more milk or eggs than they would naturally. Switching to a plant-based diet reduces your ecological footprint. With so many great plant-based options, eating green has never been more delicious. Whether you go plant-based for the environment, for your health, or for animals, you have the power to change the world simply by changing what's on your plate. This is the end of my presentation, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope I haven't offended anyone with my message, but I hope you will be kind to yourself and eat healthy. Your actions by changing your diet will cause a reaction for the world's environment, which in turn will cause an action and reaction for animal welfare. Thank you.
Fantastic. Chad, that was fantastic. I've known you for a while. And, you've influenced me in many ways, and all in good ways. I think it started a few years ago. I started as a vet for 30 days that I could not be a plant eater. I'm predominantly a plant eater. And the number one reason I do it is for the animals, the second for the environment, and third for health, in that order. I think there's many healthy diets out there, and no one will argue if you replace anything that's white with green, you're better off, and for all sorts of reasons. Chad, you're skinny. Have you ever been overweight in your life?
Yeah, actually, when I was a kid, going down the hallway at school, they used to go, Donna, 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 fat man. That's how fat I was. I was actually probably classified as obese. When I was like 10 years old, I weighed like 165 pounds. So I was a big kid. But then come around that age of about 11, all of a sudden, I had really, I was like this girl, and I asked her out to do the show for the weekend, and she refused because I was a fat kid, I felt. And it upset me so much that I went on a crash diet. So, but yeah, no, I was fat once, and I mean fat. So, but, and I feel better keeping my weight to where it's at, and I don't put on a lot of weight because of the way that I eat. So there's not a lot of fats in my diet, and if they are fats, they're good fats. They're not bad fats.
Stuart, has there been any comments or any thoughts from your perspective at all?
Yes. Yes, we have a few good questions. Chad, what are your thoughts on rice wraps as an alternative to whole grains or wheat?
I'm sorry, the question again?
Do you have any thoughts on rice wraps as an alternative to your whole grains or your wheat?
Rice wraps is healthy as well for you. No, there's no issue over the. You can get rice noodles as well, which is healthier. Mm-hmm. So they're healthy choices.
Great. We have another question as well. A patient was wondering if you happen to know what the base is for vegan butter.
No, but we go run and get it.
No problem.
Just go run and get it. I can read it off the label. I don't know.
Sure.
Right
I can look it up as well while we're doing this. One person is also curious to happen to know what the certifications behind you are. If you wanted to elaborate on those.
Oh, I work in law. I'm licensed by the Law Society, and also so I've got all my different law stuff back there. I've got I went to Harvard for a few years and graduated different programs there. Really, the program I took was negotiation and mediation. My goal when I went to Boston and started being taught by these very renowned people, very pristine people, I was very fortunate to be there. They're world negotiators, so they've negotiated deals between the Israelis and the Palestinians and with Russia and things like that. So they're very affluent people. So I came out, I was trying to hope for a position within our federal government for foreign affairs or global affairs, trying to get in as a mediator, negotiator, and it's still in my thoughts and stuff. But that's where I'd like to go. That's my little dream. I've sort of had I need a break from my courtroom scene and too much disputes with family members or contractual disputes is what I've dealt with too. So I'm looking for a better negotiation up to the top.
The world's very divided. Chad, you should run for public office, and I'll be your campaign manager, and we'll all help you out there. And we'll put a platform for better environment, better eating, and better health as part of that. And you are a great negotiator, so keep that dream going. One other question I had for you was that oats, and there's different, fast oats, quick oats, long grain. When you buy oats, what do you buy?
I actually just get the quick oats. I bought the steel cut oats, and I bought the full grain oats as well. That I couldn't find it anywhere except for going to like the bulk barn. But I don't go to the bulk barn anymore because there's too many people that are lifting those lids and they're touching those handles and they're taking whatever items out of it and they're putting it back. And so I think it's a high risk area, unfortunately, to the bulk barn. I feel bad for that company, but I won't drop there anymore just because of what's happened with the pandemic.
I still like steel cutouts. One is that I like their chunkiness, and their glycemic index is better. But I think oats you have multiple choices in there, and the less cutting of it, the less processing you have, and so it's one thing. But it's just a great healthy food. Now, What's your thoughts about overnight oats, and how do you fit that into your world?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Putting overnight oats, just putting oats in the refrigerator with other foods in there. So do you ever take oats and just put them in, let's say, in different milks and different ingredients, and just let them in the fridge overnight?
No, I don't let once I've cooked the oats, I usually just cook it. If you're making reference to like me making the oat milk, I make oat milk. I didn't include that recipe in here because I've talked about it in the past in other presentations. So I'll store it. But I don't. If I've cooked up some oats, that's one of those dishes that I actually don't make an overabundance of and store it in the refrigerator as a leftover. But let's say if I did, I wouldn't waste it. So let's say if I did make a bit too much and put it in the refrigerator, I'd throw it in my shake in the morning.
So a number of things that we learned here is that there's so many ways to be. If I look at your dishes, the presentation is ideal. I don't know when you're going to open up your restaurant. I want to be your first customer. You're a great cook and a great inspiration, and you can see that people's pathway to eating healthier is that you showed things like hot dogs and hamburgers, and those are 4-letter words. 60% of the average Canadian still eats processed foods or ultra processed foods. So I like the fact that you're cooking everything and you're being attentive to ingredients and really combine things, and that's beautiful, healthy food. Your weight's down, you're exercising, you're looking after your heart. That's fantastic. And one of the things that Chad's agreed to do is that we are going to start in January. What we have right now is we have our weight loss club, and it's been such a success. And Devanshi's taking that to a new level, and her team, and we're overflowing there. And more than welcome. And we're going to break up into different areas about that. And I think if you want to just switch one day a week to more vegetable, that's fine. If you want to do make a plunge to more, that's fine too as well. But these are just good, healthy foods that we need to think about. And I thank you so much. Great presentation and great foods. And in fact, I got so hungry I had to go get some soup out of the fridge and have some. So I thank Nurse Elizabeth, who's been my new mom for a number of years. Makes me healthy soups and puts lots of broccoli and lots of vegetables in it. And so I just had some of that soup. And I just wish everybody to do this. And thank you. Any final comments, Chad, that you want to make?
Just that if you're thinking about making this lifestyle change to eating healthier, you're battling with weight control and that, you will lose weight very quickly and in a healthy way. When I first transitioned to eating plant-based, it was a bit of a transition, but you feel the difference. So I challenge anybody out there that's watching this that if you try just for 1 week to eat nothing but whole food plant-based, after that 1 week, you're going to completely feel different. You feel lighter, you feel more energetic, your mind is clear, your focus is clear, all of that. You're overall going to be healthier, your whole well-being is going to be better. But it's something you got to try and think about, and look at all the other aspects by doing it. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
So thanks very much. So we're going to actually have Chad back for round 2 and 3 and 4. There's so much more cooking and more to chat about. I'm going to give Stuart the last word over here. And again, a warm gratitude from all of us, Chad. You taught me again, and thank you for sharing it with everybody. Stuart, why don't you just take it away?
Perfect. Sorry, my mic is having some difficulties. Thank you, Chad, again for the fantastic presentation today. I know we had some fun interactions throughout the day, making sure that we were on the same page and that we had it ready to go for 7 o'clock. I'm happy we did. It turned out phenomenal. For anyone who is joining us and wants to know how they can get these recipes, I'm going to put it all in a document, and I'm going to share it in the description of the video so you can have it all in one place. And just a reminder as well, these videos stay up there for a lifetime, so you can always come back, you can always pause the video, take pictures. These recipes aren't going to go away, they're always going to be on this page, but I'm also going to provide a printout as well, so if you want to check in the future, you'll be able to find that. A lot of these recipes sounded phenomenal. I think I'm going to try a few things. I'm certainly going to be printing it out because I want to have some conversations with my mom and see what we could probably integrate into our weekly meals. We're recycling a lot of these meals these days, so we're looking for new things to try. I'm also going to try the coffee with the vanilla extract. Usually I go with coffee with skim milk, and I'm trying to cut some skim milk out of my diet, or trying to cut milk out of my diet when I can. So I'm going to try the vanilla extract and see if I enjoy that. But overall, it was a phenomenal webinar. I've had the pizza as well that you showed in the video. You shared with us some pizzas last year when we were in clinic, and those were phenomenal as well. So all these recipes, they don't just look good, I know they taste good. So I really urge any patients who are joining us to certainly try them, because I think they're well worth it for your health, and I think you won't taste a difference in terms of how enjoyable they are. So those are my final words. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. Once again, this Friday, we appreciate you joining us and spending your evening with us this Friday leading into the weekend, and we look forward to seeing you hopefully soon.
I want to wish everybody a good night, and realize that we're going to be starting the new year. If you want to join us on a more plant-based eating, whether it be one meal or every meal, we're gonna have a group of us working with that. We have some phenomenally good people here that are plant-based eaters that know how to prepare food well and make sure you're healthy. So if that's what you want to try, we'll be glad to support that. Just send us or call the clinic or send us at drkernu@232gmail.com that you want to be involved in more plant-based eating in any way, and we'll be glad to help support that. And I wish everybody a good night. And yes, tonight I'm definitely going to go to the stairs tonight because I haven't been exercising as much as I can. It's going to be a nice weekend, so biking and maybe some outdoor tennis for the last time, I hope, or hoping not the last time. But I wish everybody a good night. And once a special thanks to Chad and to Stuart and everybody else for joining us. And have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Good night, everyone.